now be entitled to refunds. The federal government collecting more than $130 billion in tariff revenue and may owe $175 billion in refunds. The nation's highest court finding that President Trump exceeded his power when he imposed some of last year's global tariffs. We've got attorney Joseph Tully to break this all down, and he's also being sued right now by 24 states who are looking for no more tariffs. Where are things right now in the courts, Joseph?
Sure. So the Supreme Court, as you mentioned, struck down Trump's tariffs. They said basically tariffs are taxes, and taxes are to be controlled by Congress, not the president. The president did have some arguments under the Emergency Economic Powers Act, which arguably gave him some flexibility in imposing these. But the Supreme Court also said about that, listen, Congress has to be very explicit. If they're giving away major powers, they have to be explicit. So you can't use that to justify. So now that the Supreme Court has struck it down, there's a international court or a court of international trade in Manhattan, and it ruled, hey, administration, you've got to refund all of the importers. And so now there's either going to be further legal challenges or the process of refunds are going to start, and it's going to be messy and quite complicated, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it seems as though this will likely be back before the Supreme Court before anybody is dispersed any money here, whether it's a reimbursement or how this plays out. But you have two things at play here, because the president did say the Supreme Court didn't answer the question about what if refunds look like, if any at all. Obviously, that's playing out in lower courts, but also congressional approval. You have 24 states who are now suing the Trump administration because he imposed 10% sweeping taxes and tariffs after the Supreme Court's ruling without congressional approval yet again.
Yes, so after the Supreme Court struck down the tariffs under the Emergency Economic Powers Act, then the Trump administration pivoted to different methods of achieving these same goals. And one of the methods, which they thought was a safer method, now they're being sued by states in federal court. So I think we're going to see the Trump administration keep trying to accomplish their goal of imposing tariffs to countries that they argue are taking advantage of the importation. However, it's going to be fought because the states are going to fight the administration on the power and the ability to do so. So basically what we're seeing here is the Trump administration necessarily having to pivot away based on the Supreme Court's ruling, right, and then being challenged on their new strategies as well.
And to be clear here, the Supreme Court did not say you cannot impose tariffs. It was the method that these tariffs were imposed.
Correct, yes. The administration had previously imposed its tariffs under the Emergency Economic Powers Act, and they said you can't do that. Again, tariffs are taxes, and taxes are controlled by Congress unless they explicitly say so. I think that's a really good summary. And now they're pivoting to other issues, and we're going to see the same litigation essentially play out again. Yeah. And it's basically going to be a whack-a-mole strategy and a push and pull, I believe we'll see play out in the court system.
All right, we'll wait and see if there's any reimbursement here of those tariffs, but I imagine we'll be back talking about another Supreme Court ruling in no time. Joseph, thank you for the explainer.
Thank you. Take care.
Let's move on, because Maryland now backing off a controversial fee on electric vehicle charging.